Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about lots of Star Wars stuff, with Star Wars Celebration taking place this weekend. We're going to be talking about all the new announcements. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, sharing our thoughts. We'll also be talking about some of the other news from the past week. So yeah, tons of stuff has happened this week. We're going to be we'll be jumping into all of that. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe here on YouTube. You can also subscribe on audio platforms as well, where you'll find us. So if you want to listen to us in the car, in the train, on the plane, whatever you're doing, you can do that. And remember as well, you can go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Bookmark, favorite, follow us on social media to keep up with everything. And let's jump into it. So last week we pre-recorded because I was in Norway and had a lovely cruise. Unfortunately, I have caught a little bug, so if I sound a little bit funny today, that's what it is. But yeah, let's jump into it. So obviously, let's start with all the Star Wars stuff, because we've been having loads of news over the last 48 hours. First off, Obi-Wan Kenobi is now out on Disney Plus. We've got the first 2 episodes. It arrived a little bit earlier than they initially. They put it on a little bit earlier on. They've ended up having a little bit of a warning on the beginning for the Americans because of kind of the opening scene being a little bit caught a few people off guard with the current situation that's happened this week in the US. So they put a little notice on that one, only in the US. Also, we've got some avatars as well in Disney Plus. You can now select Obi-Wan Kenobi as your avatar. If you like Fortnite, you can find him in there. But yeah, there's loads of stuff with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and obviously we'll be talking about that one a little bit later once we've kind of gone through all of the news. So that was the big main one. We've also got Andor, which is going to be coming to Disney Plus with 2 episodes on the 31st of August. 12 episodes in the season, so that will pretty much get us right through to the end of October. Also been confirmed, second season is going to be filming. I think it started now. It's getting ready to film. And the second season is also going to be 12 episodes, and that will lead straight into the events of Rogue One. So it's basically a whole load of prequels building up to that. So it's good that we've had confirmation, because we've been hearing rumblings of, it being a 5-season show or 3-season show. Now we know it's 2 seasons, 24 episodes, which is great. I mean, we know now that we've got that one. We also know now that Willow will be dropping onto Disney Plus on November the 30th. I don't think we know how many episodes are in that one yet. The trailer for Andor looked amazing, but the trailer for Willow looked pretty good as well. So that will then be running right through then December into January. Again, don't know how many episodes, whether or not that gets into February. They've also confirmed that Mandalorian season 3 will be dropping in February 2023. They've also confirmed Ahsoka's coming in 2023 as well, along with a brand new series, Skeleton Crew. And this one is being created by John Watts, who was the director of the Spider-Man films. He was going to do the Fantastic Four film, but he kind of stepped away from that one to do this one. And this one is set in the New Republic era, which is around the time of The Mandalorian. It's about a group of kids that get lost in a galaxy far, far away when they're trying to find their way home. And Jude Law stars in that one. So that one is looking good. They've also announced there's a Lego holiday special coming in, I think, on August, at the beginning of August, and it's set after the events of Rise of Skywalker. They've also confirmed there is a new animated Disney Junior series set in the High Republic era with Young Jedi Adventures. That's coming next year as well. And I suspect we'll find out some more, hopefully, by the time this either goes out or by tomorrow, we'll find out about Bad Batch Season 2. But what caught your eye from all of this event?
Actually, the last one you mentioned, the High Republic show that should be coming to Disney Plus and Disney Junior, mostly because we've heard rumors and vague confirmations of a High Republic show coming for a while, but now we actually know one is coming, and they are going to stand behind the High Republic line, which honestly, from my perspective, has been a bit of a mess so far, but I think it's been well received overall. So I'm glad they're sticking with that one.
I know they've announced loads of books and stuff and comic books and stuff at Star Wars Celebration this weekend. It's a bit, for me, like, until it makes a jump into TV, I'm probably not going to bother too much. To me, it's almost like the books and the comics books are setting up like what's going to work, what isn't going to work, what people are liking, what they aren't, and kind of going from there. But yeah, so it's interesting to see how it's going to work. I think Andor, for me, is the one I'm really excited for. Seems to be a trend with Disney, and it's a little bit of a cheeky one, I think. drop the TV series on the last day of the month in order to make it look like it's coming earlier than it actually is. It just seems a little bit like it's coming in August. Well, the last day in August. I mean, we're literally like 12 hours away from September, basically. And they're doing it with Willow. They did it with Moon Knight. They did it with the Book of Boba Fett. It's like it's coming earlier than you think, but not really. We're just like it's just a bit of an odd one, that one.
Well, I think that none of them still beat, what is it, Mandalorian season 2 dropping on the last week of the year, so they could say, yeah, it came in 2022. It's like, yeah, one episode came in 2022. I'm not really sure why they do that. It's an interesting observation, and like the closest I would think of is here in the States. You go to the grocery store and you look, oh, it's only $4.99.
Yeah,
it's not $5. It's $4.99. Like, well, yeah, and then you add tax and all that stuff, so it's no longer the case. But they have shown, like, psychologically, that the $4.99 price tag is more enticing than the $5, even though it's literally just a penny.
I don't know, as well as like it almost like it focuses their mind of like, right, August, we are promoting this show. That's what the point of it is, coming this month, and we're going to do all the promotion. And that's how it's going to work. But yes, it's very interesting to see how all of this is going to come together. And yeah, it's just it's definitely going to be fun to see it all coming in. Of course, we're also going to be getting Andor alongside She-Hulk, because that was confirmed to be coming on August the 17th. We spoke about it 2 weeks ago because the date kind of had been leaked onto Disney's website. They've confirmed it. We got the trailer for She-Hulk as well. What did you think of that trailer?
Overall, I liked the trailer. I'm looking forward to the show quite a bit. The main complaint would be the one that you've probably seen quite a bit of, which is that She-Hulk herself looks very uncanny valley, very weird. The CGI they have for her is awkward.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk over the last few days, and it was a little bit odd because the trailer was put onto Disney Plus, and everyone's going, they've changed the CGI. No, it's just in 4K, and the YouTube version is not in you, and so therefore it looks so much better on Disney Plus than it does on YouTube. And everyone was going, they've upgraded it. No, it's just like the difference in 4K. You can look at some of the news videos of the difference of me in 4K and not in 720. I'd stay in the 720 myself, but it's I'm going to be honest. I watched that She-Hulk trailer and I thought the effects, I thought they looked terrible. It looked like a video game. I really wasn't feeling this. This has gone the exact opposite for me. I was really excited about the series. This trailer just was like, I don't like it. I don't like the look of it. It looks weird. I don't know. I'm going to really have to be sold on this one. I think this one might take like an episode or two to actually get used to the character, because I just really didn't feel it from the anime. So yeah, it's just something weird about it.
So I don't know anything about the 4K 720 whatever. That's the first I'm hearing about that at all. But to be honest, from what I remember watching, I saw it on YouTube. I did not see it on Disney Plus. The problems I had with it were not resolution based. There's something odd going on with her face, the way they're doing the motion capture. There's something weird in the way that she's moving. That it's not quite there. It's almost like we're looking at like 2005 era movie CGI, which, I mean, still, impressive to be like that. But if you remember the CGI from back then, of course, it's always just a little bit off. It's always not. Actually, it reminded me a lot of Avatar, to be honest.
Yeah.
The first one with the blue aliens, not The Last Airbender. That her character reminded me a lot of Zoe Saldana's character from Avatar in appearance and the way she moved, and being just slightly not right. It worked a little better in Avatar 1. It was a movie, and 2, the characters' proportions are weird. They're on purpose, and it's supposed to be a fantasy, so you can kind of get away with things not being quite right. But other than being green and large, She-Hulk is otherwise human. And yeah, there's something very off. It did not turn me off the series. I'll just have to kind of get used to it, as you said. But honestly, the strength of the series is more in Jennifer than in She-Hulk anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I just said it's just something just didn't look right, and it kind of caught me off guard with it. Which is a shame because I am looking forward to it. I've always been a fan of She-Hulk ever since, like the cartoon stuff. I think the trouble is that, grew up watching the Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. So that's always kind of, and I think the Hulk movies have been really good. But I think seeing Hulk smash stuff up, and also they generally always kept it quite short, didn't they? So therefore, yeah, when he turned up, I think they spent a bit more time on it. And obviously it was a movie. Whereas seeing her like at a dinner date and just picking up a guy on a date to, have a way with him, and he just like, okay, this is a lot slower, and you're not quite. I don't know. I'm gonna have to be sold on it. But I'll watch it all anyway. But I'm willing to give the trailer. Plus, they've got like 2 to 3 months of work on it to kind of get it good. I think the trouble is generally like in a Hulk movie, there's probably only about 10 minutes actually as Hulk. The rest of it is sort of
Bruce Banner and everybody
Bruce Banner,
else,
and I don't know if they're doing that with it's almost like thinking sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more.
The comics kind of go back and forth because since Jennifer doesn't have the rage out mode, she did for a while, but traditionally She-Hulk is actually just a human who is also very strong and green. So in the comics, they often just have her wandering around as She-Hulk rather than as Jennifer. But for a show like this, I expect it will be a lot more of human form rather than She-Hulk form, simply for budget reasons. Though you mentioned the whole dating thing, I actually enjoyed that scene quite a bit because he looked so happy though.
Yeah.
She just picks him up and he's like, all right, hey, carry me off. And it's like, all right, that was really kind of cute, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun to watch. It's definitely going to be fun to watch what goes on with this one here. But yeah, so it's definitely going to, I think, be a fun one. Interesting enough, we've got a little bit of a situation again with this one's going to be 9 episodes. Now, I don't think it's going to be dropping 2 at once. I think they're going to be carrying on with the weekly thing, which means it's going to be overlapping with Andor a little bit. Well, not a little bit. It's literally going to be most of the run. Also, we're having the same thing that's going to happen with Miss Marvel for a little bit. And some people are like, well, is this because they're both female-led shows and therefore they're kind of, they don't have the faith in it? Now, I'm going to be honest, so we'll do this one now. I've watched the first 2 episodes of Miss Marvel. Can't do a full review until literally the week has been out. But my first kind of general reactions are, it's good. I didn't enjoy it as much as like Moon Knight or WandaVision or anything like that. I loved all the family stuff with like the whole Muslim aspect to it. I really enjoyed it. It was fresh and I really enjoyed that whole aspect of just something different and them having like normal family beef and just sort of in terms of how everything goes on and arguing, and I enjoyed all that. I thought that was really good. Special effects looked good in it. And it's very much kind of like high school. It's very much that Spider-Man Homecoming vibe to it. It's it is younger. It's got lots of like TikTok music stuff in it, and it's gonna be fun. I think it's the first episodes. I'm in for the rest of it. I really enjoyed it. Very much changed who she is, like from the video game or from the comic books, but also. It is also apparently very much like the comic books, and I've read them, but they've just changed their powers around a little bit. But I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of the series. But we'll talk about this one a bit more when it comes out in a couple of weeks' time on the 8th of June. My full review will be going up on the 7th of June. So that it's a little bit like, why are they doing this? But also, I think we're at a point now where they've got so much stuff dropping in that they don't need to kind of separate them the same way they used to. I think. Obviously, when we start getting Bad Batch and What If thrown in, because we've not had the dates for those coming in, hopefully we'll get the Bad Batch release date on Sunday during the panel at Star Wars Celebration. They're at a point where they actually can't keep them separate anymore, and also there's just so much. And when we only had the Mandalorian, they had to separate things, but now they don't need to the same.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's actually been nice to see lots of different announcements for a lot of different products and coming over the course of the last 2 days, let alone the next day and a half that we've still got some announcements for. Because especially not even just Star Wars, but with Disney Plus, you're used to all the announcements coming in like a 2-hour block, and then that's it.
Well, I think as well. I mean, it's not that with Andor being 12. Obi-Wan right now, and then you've got Willow. I mean, it was a little bit of a thing like with Willow of somebody going, why is it being shown off at Star Wars Celebration? Like, well, it was a Lucasfilm presentation, so that's their way of getting around it. I'm looking forward to Willow because it's a bit different. I mean, it's just, I enjoyed the film when I was a kid, watched it recently, and like, yeah, why not? But that, again, that takes a spot of the fantasy realm of something away. And it'll be really interesting to have something that's not Marvel and Star Wars in there. So I'm looking forward to that one. We've also got lots of movies coming up. We've also got holiday specials and whole host of bits and pieces. And obviously as well, for us internationally, we're getting other stuff. Maybe as well, when we start seeing some more stuff dropping onto the US, you might start seeing them being less reliant on the Marvel and Star Wars because of popping. We're going to get Love Victor season 3 dropping in on June the 15th. So you're getting this like, well, that's a whole other thing, and you're getting these, maybe some other shows dropping in. I feel like they've got so much more coming. I mean, we're going to get like Mysterious Benedict Society season 2, Big Shot season 2, all of that probably dropping over the fall as well. So there's going to be, multiple shows. High School Musical series 3 starts at the end of July. They've been really heavy on the release dates for like July and August. We've pretty much got like the calendar is already starting to fill out quite nicely on the website now with all the July and August stuff, which is a lot of fun.
It's kind of like they realized that they do actually need to show us what the calendar is, and that is going to be the single biggest driver of people not canceling their subscriptions. So not necessarily bringing in new subscriptions, which is of course the real thing they want, but at the same time they also want to make sure people are not unsubscribing. And as long as you can go, all right, yeah, you're watching Obi-Wan now, but here comes Miss Marvel right down there, and then we've got this right after that, and people can go, all right, yeah, I will.
Yeah, I mean, they're very much, I think, getting ready for that ad tier coming in the fall, where they were on about it during the upfront weekend. They're expecting 70% of their audience to move beyond the ad tier, either getting a lot of more people that they wouldn't have done, people shifting the price point. They've already found with Hulu that most people sign up for the ad-free version, so the ad version, and then maybe upgrade. And I think this is going to be a big thing. I mean, just literally like a couple of hours ago, they tweeted that they're going to be doing a live stream of a Tina concert from Buenos Aires. We're starting to see some stuff kind of flowing in. We had some surprise releases the other week, like with Alias. And we got Glee coming up next week in the US. It's still a little bit light, but they're kind of, you can tell, I still feel like they're holding back. They're holding back until they've got a proper announcement, but they're dropping some breadcrumbs just to kind of keep people happy.
And they're getting people used to some things. Like we had the Marvel Netflix shows coming over several weeks ago, which kind of broke that barrier of, yes, we can have more mature shows. Bringing Love Victor over, of course, be a different kind of barrier that they want to break there. But yeah, I think they're getting people ready.
Yeah.
And the ad tier, I was originally a little like, I don't think too many, because it's only like probably going to be $1 or $2 different. But the more I think about it, the more it's like it's a trial period for new people, but it's also, I only watch 1 or 2 series, so I'm just going to drop it and I'll come back in 3 months. Like, oh, well, at the lower price. I can just
that is exactly what I think is going to happen with the Marvel and the Star Wars fans, with the general audience of people. And if you're only watching 1 or 2 shows a week on it, the ad tier or the ad, you might put up with an ad at the beginning, at the end. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said. I think it's going to really pull a lot of people in.
As I said, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think the big decider will be how many ads there are. If you're on the ad tier and it's, as you said, like
4 minutes per hour is what they've told us.
Okay, that's not terrible. That's better than broadcast TV, which is obviously much higher ratio.
I think they're going to aim. I think by the looks of it, I mean, 4 minutes per hour. I don't think they're going to break up movies. I think they know it's TV is where they make it. Those TV episodes, they can get in. You can get in many more ads between the episodes, and people are binge watching the episodes. There's not going to be ads on like the preschool content, but there will be ads on I think the over 7 or whatever you guys class as preschool. This is much younger here in the UK, but yeah. So I think they're being a bit wary. They've said there's not going to be any alcohol stuff, no political ads. no adverts for other streaming services, the typical kind of thing that you'd expect, but they're being a bit more selective, which is actually apparently putting the price up for the ads because people are like, oh, you're being a bit selective. We have to bid a bit higher. They're going in carefully. They don't want to be going in because Hulu's got too many. But it's all going to be interesting to see how all this works together.
Yeah, you watch American ads on television, you realize how many of them are for prescription drugs and alcohol, and it's it makes up a large
always
portion
weird
market.
for me. It's always been weird for me whenever I would go to the US and they'd sit down and watch TV. First off, you have an extra ad break that we don't have. So it was always used to, and when I was much younger, like 20 years ago, when you'd go over, they had like 2 extra ads. They've kind of snuck an extra one in for us over here. But yeah, it was always like, how many ads? They had so many more. And obviously, we were used to the BBC where we didn't have any. And then you'd be like, yeah, like, you know, the drugs ads and like, this might cause you to bleed heavily. And, you know, you're like, what? We don't have that kind of ads here. It's very strange, but they are going to be a little bit more selective on how they deal with it.
Which is good, and if it does mean they lose a little bit of revenue, I think they get better goodwill by not having, you know, little Tommy having to ask what, you know, this weird drug is, and oh, mommy, do I need that? No, you definitely don't need that.
And also, I think as we're moving into this next stage of the streaming wars, you know, the companies have all realized now, look, we're doing ads. It's a cheaper way of doing television. We need it for revenue. It brings in another source. We can't be completely reliant on subscriptions. The fact that even Netflix is doing this, that's the end of it. Is really of, but all the other networks, they've been used to it for like 30, 40 years, and like, why don't we want that money? You could always see that thing. You do know we make money over here on this. Why do we want to give it up for this? It was always like, can we not have both?
Right. Well, they've always wanted both, but the question has always been, will customers tolerate it? Right.
Yeah.
And customers will not tolerate it on VOD for a very long time. And they've been kind of slowly, you know, frog in the cooking pot, adding them in. Oh, no, it's just trailers at the end. It's trailers at the beginning. Obviously, most people even go, oh, they're putting trailers at the beginning. That means eventually we're getting the ads. And I think most people recognize that it was inevitable to happen. I definitely count myself in the group of like, I wish it never happened, but acknowledging that it is the way of things. But, you know, streaming had to become established first. We had to accept that streaming was a thing. And that's what Netflix did, of course. It established that, yes, streaming is a very convenient way, and the internet infrastructure can hold on to it and do it so it's not just buffering every 30 seconds, except unless you're still on dial-up or something like that. Amazon then added it, and that made it more mainstream because it's just part of your Amazon Prime. And now we're finally at the point where, yes, streaming is normal. Streaming is just what people expect. And now the companies come in and go, yes, time to monetize. So,
well, I think that's ultimately that it. You know, they've worked out. You know, I mean, you just only have to look at the upcoming schedule for the fall on the US networks. All the big companies have gone, our normal television channels are no longer our priority anymore, and you're just going to start sharing stuff. I mean, this weekend you literally got Top Gun Maverick, you've got Stranger Things, and Obi-Wan. There's no talk of what's on television this weekend. You know, it's all dominated by those.
Did Top Gun go to Paramount Plus, or is it
only
in theaters right now?
It's on cinemas right now.
Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure.
It was more just like they've been really pushing this whole thing about going to cinemas and all the rest of it, and it's a little bit like with Stranger Things. You know, there's just a lot of competition now. We did watch the first episode of season 4 of the Stranger Things last night, and it was a bit like, I did turn on my wife and we went, it's like, it's going to take us like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get through this drop. It's like some of the episodes are like 2 hours long, and you're like, and like people, I binged it. Well, you binged it all in one day. Well, that's just not, you know, that's a lot of television to watch, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi and other stuff.
Everyone watches differently, and I can't binge, but more power to the people. I have to admit, I've actually never seen Stranger Things. So.
No, it's honest to me. It's actually kind of it's definitely one of the top shows on Netflix. If you were to get Netflix for a month, that would be like, you watch Stranger Things. It's one of the best ones, but also just highlight the problem that Netflix has with this whole binge model and why they spent, I think, something like 30 million per episode, and they've dropped I think it was 7 episodes yesterday, got a couple more to come, and they're doing like a split mode. And it's like thinking, yeah, if you'd spread this out over, you could have owned June, you'd have been having discussions in the end, dropping it all at once. It's basically just like you've just thrown 300 million away on a weekend for television, and then next week most people will have moved on to something else.
I mean, I probably wouldn't count it as thrown away, considering how much buzz it is creating for that 1 week and the number of people watching it. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
and I do agree with that. The water cooler mentality counts for a lot, because not only does it increase hype. You and I were going back and forth on Obi-Wan. We're loving it, and it increases our hype for the next week. But it also means coworker over here or whoever's kind of in the kitchen or whatever, they're going, oh, Obi-Wan's out. I should check that out. Or Stranger Things, or Star Trek, Strange New World, whatever people are talking about. Having the weekly drop continues the buzz every single week. Whereas, as you said, Stranger Things, people will be talking about it for quite some time, especially as the second half of season 4 gets closer. But it's very much a spike, calm, versus kind of it might not be the same spike for Obi-Wan or Mandalorian, but it's a much more consistent people talking about it.
Definitely weird how it works, because obviously with it being Memorial Weekend in the US, normally for us this weekend it would be I think it's the Whitsunday bank holiday weekend, but for us they've removed the bank holiday on Monday. They've shifted it to Thursday and Friday now, because we've got the Queen's Jubilee next week for 4 days. So we got a whole load of stuff for that one, and obviously the UK, we got Pistol to watch. Obviously I talked about that on last week's show, but yeah, so that's the big show for Disney Plus for the Jubilee, which I don't think they've really been utilizing the advertising for, because I think that's like, you guys really should have, the whole God Save the Queen, that's the main song with the Jubilee. Hopefully there's some big marketing campaign next week, trying to get people to watch it for that. But so that one should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think just as a whole, the whole binge drop, we are seeing it a lot more on Disney Plus here in the UK, of them starting to drop whole seasons of stuff. Like Under the Banner of Heaven is coming in July. We're getting Atlantis the latest season, all in one go. It's almost like they're holding things back but we're at a point where they can drop a show a week, Netflix style, because they've got that many shows, with all these FX and ABC and shows. They're almost like, they're doing it more over here now, holding things back and then dropping the whole lot at once and doing all the PR about 1 week. So you can see them all like moving and testing stuff out a bit.
And that is, of course, the flip side to the argument. For a major show, Obi-Wan, Stranger Things, etc., it helps to have the weekly drop. But if you're not talking about a major show, something that's going to create buzz every week, you might as well just put it all in all at once, get as much talk about it as you can in that moment, and then let the next big thing take the spot. So huge title, draw it out, keep the subscriptions going for month to month. But yeah, which isn't to say like Under the Banner of Heaven or those shows are small by any stretch, but they're not on the same level as the other ones are. And also the international thing, because Under the Banner of Heaven is coming out weekly here, but by the time you get it, the series will have been done. So making you sit through it week to week when the whole series is already, this doesn't make sense. You are muted.
It's definitely very strange of how all of that works and stuff. But yeah, let's jump down to some other stuff. It was also confirmed that Zombies 3 is going to be shifting over to a Disney Plus kind of original on July the 15th. We'll be getting it there. It's then going to be coming out in August on Disney Channel with extra scenes, and then that'll be it's like, we know we need to move them over to Disney Channel, but we don't want to forget you guys over there, but really we have. I was just like, you can see the shift now of going. It's like, why not just do day and date and do it? It's like, no, because we need it it's bigger on Disney Plus than it is on Disney Channel. And it's like, this is the first, we've been seeing it in the last couple of movies where they've been like dual releasing. Now it's like, yeah, no, we need these on Disney Plus. We don't need them on Disney Channel.
Yeah, I know there's still a lot of people who are watching the linear cable packages, which would include.
Not looking at the ratings, Plus. It isn't.
Well, Yeah. In it, there are still people who stick to it though, and they can't just let that audience go. Plus, also, they still get ads on television, whereas the ad tier is not yet on Disney Plus. So that's a revenue stream that they need. But yes, the numbers have definitely tilted on the side of now putting it on Disney Plus makes more sense to get it in front of as many people as possible.
Well, just to kind of give you guys a hint of why this has happened. Okay, so let's go back to 2000 and say 2017. So we'll go back 5 years. So Descendants 2 was 5.3 million. People watched it on the Disney Channel. On because linear was anyway. So you had like Zombies 1 was 2.6 million. Freaky Friday was 1.6, and then Descendants 3 was 4.6 million. All right, let's skip now into the Disney Plus era. Zombies 2 was 2.5 million. Since then, Upside Down Magic was 1.3. And then this is the real one. In 2021, Spin was 0.5 million. Under Wraps, 0.4 million. And Christmas Again, 0.5 million. The number, literally, I mean, you're talking a massive, massive drop in numbers for television viewership of those. I mean, obviously, linear's gone down all over the place. It's not, we see this on everything. But Disney Channel original movies, you used to get anything between 3 and 5 million. You get the odd outlier where they would do something crazy, like High School Musical 2 was like 17 million, or Wizards of Waverly Place was 11 million. But generally, most of them fit between like 3 to 7 million. And then the last 4 movies of just not one of them. They're all just. Because the kids have shifted to streaming, they still got to have, and I still believe, and I'll be honest, I still believe that Disney should be putting these Disney Plus movies on the Disney Channel. You might as well show them. You might as well get some, put them on as a special broadcast. Put Sneakerella on there over Christmas, or I still believe that they should be doing this, and I think we are going to see more of this moving forward. But you can see now that. With the DComs, they're going, they're worth more as a Disney Plus movie than they are as a Disney Channel movie.
I would be interested in seeing the video on demand numbers, though, across with the linear numbers. For those of you not following, television terminology, video on demand is the ability to watch it through your television box, just not when it came out. So it's not Disney Plus, it's not linear, it's kind of in between, and those numbers normally are not grouped in with the linear numbers, and I actually think that those numbers might push a couple of those over the million count, which is still lower than it used to be, but it's nothing to sneeze at either.
No, I think we're definitely going to see we've seen it. I mean, we've seen it in everything. All TV shows, the linear networks have been dropping, but I think the move of Zombies definitely says to me that they've not wait unless this is the next test to go, and okay, if this one does it, then we know what we're doing from now on. But so that's kind of, I think that's pretty much most of the news. Let's jump into some reviews now. So before we do that, let's do some quick bit of housekeeping. Thank you very much to all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members for your support. Thank you very much to Sarah for the executive level. We've also got Andrew, Elliot, Jacob, Caleb, Red Marsman. We've also got Aero G, Chris, Cody, Darren. We've also got The Juice, Lauren, and Paul. And then over on the YouTube's a big hello and thank you to Adam. We've also got Raphael, Dana, Ricky Wright. We've also got Dave, Ahmad. We've got My VCR Still Works, Bina, Joshua, Dawn, Martin, Jeremy, and Sarah. Thank you for all of your support. And that all helps kind of keeping everything moving along and sort of paying for. Plan is to do a live stream on Sunday night. Long if my voice can hold out. It's going by the podcast, I'm all right. But it was a little bit like, if this podcast, if I got to the end of it and I was starting to sound like Miss Piggy or Kermit, then that was going to be the case of a pre-recorded one. But it looks like we're going to be good. So we'll be back to live after the last 2 weeks of pre-recorded. So let's talk about some stuff that we've been watching. We'll do Kenobi last. I want to bring up The Valet, which dropped onto Disney Plus internationally last week. Dropped onto Hulu as well. Did you have a chance to watch that one, James?
I actually forgot it came out.
I watched it on Monday because I was away. I literally didn't watch television for an entire week. Didn't watch a single thing. And it was great. It's kind of that thing now of like, and I never thought I'd ever get to that point. Like, I'm on holiday and I need a break from television. I mean, that's other than when I used to go, go backpacking and do some camping and stuff. Where it was actually realized, no, I need actually a break from watching like TV and having to concentrate on it. But yeah, the Valet, nice, easygoing, like comedy, pretty. You know where it's going to be going. Basically, there's this Hollywood star. She's having an affair. She bumps into the valet while driving and sets up this whole thing with being paparazzi'd, and they kind of hoodwink him into being in a relationship with her so he can, the boyfriend can get out of the divorce and get some money and stuff. As you'd expect, things move along and they become friends, and it's kind of frees them both as they learn to kind of live with. I think it just opens their eyes to other world. It's fun. It's easygoing. Nothing that bad in it. It's that kind of thing of like going, okay, other than one scene, I can't see why this wasn't put on Disney Plus. But generally, I thought it was pretty good.
Maybe it's on Hulu instead of Disney Plus just for contract reasons. I mean, we're kind of getting to the point now where the lines have blurred enough that they could put anything onto either one within reason. Like, we're not going to see American Horror Story on the American Disney Plus anytime soon. But, the lines are blurred. So I can only speculate that there's probably just a contract reason, or they just want to make sure that, like, no, we haven't forgotten about Hulu. We're not ditching Hulu.
Very much look like there's one scene in it which I could see why maybe they chicken out, but it's actually a Lionsgate movie. They must have purchased it. But no, I thought it was fun. It's definitely worth watching. So that was good. We also had a new film yesterday dropped called We Feed People. All about a chef. Who I'm going to be honest, Jose Andres. He's a celebrity chef I'd never heard of, because this is one of those weird things with celebrity chefs. We have hundreds of them here in the UK. You probably only know like Gordon Ramsay. In America, you will have them, but they don't seem to translate over the ponds. They kind of, I don't know if it's just that there's that many of them in every country that they don't need to cross over so much. Because there's hardly any American, like, they don't come over here doing TV shows. It's almost like the TV networks, because but we can get cheaper. We've got so many here, we don't need them.
I would also say there's probably a style difference, because a lot of the ones that I've seen over on your side, maybe not the celebrity ones, but just the general cooking shows are much more sedate and much more about the food. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the shows over here are much more about the actual chefs themselves and creating that artificial reality TV drama, and like, oh, we turned off this person's oven halfway. It's like, that's not what I want to watch. I want to see the food. But yes, I think there's a very big tonal difference. And obviously that's not to say that there aren't kind of Zen cooking shows on our side, and you have a couple of those like crazy kitchen nightmare kind of ones over there. Yeah. But I think the general feel of cooking shows is very different. Heck, not even just between America and England, but just like every country has their own style of doing it.
So this was the thing with this one, because I didn't know who this guy was. Luckily, at the beginning of the movie, they did kind of do an introduction to who he was. He had like a TV show. He's had some like restaurants, and he ended up kind of getting called in to help out while he was on vacation. And he kind of just fell into this thing of like helping people need food, but he ran through money. There was a little bit of people going, well, are you doing this to make money out of it? Trying to get money from Firma and stuff. And he's a very passionate person, lots of it. And he's just basically built up this charity that goes in when there's massive storms, when there's been hurricanes and stuff like that, and basically just feeds people. And just obviously they need money for, because trying to feed tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people a day needs money. You can see like the toll it's taken on him throughout this whole film, of especially with his family. And he kind of gets to the end of it, like, he's been back, during COVID, he was like helping out, like feeding people on cruise ships. And then they're going, whoa, hold on a minute. Why are you feeding cruise? The cruise company should be doing this. And, hopefully they are paying for this, because it's like they're all paying customers, and they should. That was a little bit like, why are you helping out the cruise? The cruise companies should be able to sort this out themselves. I was on a cruise ship last week. There's plenty of food and chefs and stuff on board. They should be able to. That was annoying, but you can see the passion for it, and what he has to go through, and also the issues that he has. You can see his relationship with people can be a little bit. There's this one scene where he has a go at a member of staff because he turns around and offers somebody a sandwich, and he literally then has to apologize to the woman that they gave the sandwich with, because she went nuts on him. Because it's like, why are you having a go at him helping me with a sandwich? And he was just like, you could see it from his point of view. Look, if we give out one sandwich and we get thousands of people running across here, we're in trouble. We cannot give out food until we're ready. I could see it from both sides. I did actually get where he was coming from, because that could have escalated into a major problem. But you could see that thing of how far he's pushed, and and he even himself called himself grumpy because of how it does it all. But I thought it was fascinating. I really enjoyed this documentary. Again, National Geographic films they just hit. They just hit. And I also, maybe having run I worked in a kitchen for 20 plus years, do it, and it's that kind of thing. And I love the fact that he just took it back to basics. We're going to cook a couple of meals, good stuff, good quality. It wasn't about being, he threw out the idea of what he was going in to cook for them. What do they eat in the country? What do they want to eat? And we'll just make massive amounts of that. Give them sandwiches, give them fruit. He's not there trying to give them delicate, like, here's this. No, it's like, no, we're just trying to feed people. And I thought this was a fantastic documentary.
No, this was very, very good. I went into it originally. I don't know him at all either. He was brand new to me, but I was kind of going into it. Oh, this is just going to be like a little back patty look at all the good that I kind of do. And it was not that. I mean, it does delve into that occasionally, where it's like, yes, look at all the good that we've done. But for the most part, I think it's very eye-opening about a situation that most people don't think about. There's a lot more to disasters than getting people back into their homes, getting the power back on, getting the water, depending on what kind of disaster it is, to what kind of cleanup has to be done. It's like, yeah, you've got a whole bunch of displaced people who need to be fed. And, food is such an integral part of our life, not just to live, but, communal and so on, that having this experience or someone who can come in and do this is very, very important. Because otherwise, it's going to be the National Guard coming in, and they're going to be handing out expired, MREs and things like that. And, like you said, he's cooking very simple meals, but by necessity, but even just having a little bit of regular food is such a huge difference over here's your granola bar, here's your granola bar, here's your granola bar. And it really does a good job of showing, what he is doing for these people. And yeah, there are those moments where, the sandwich to the lady, I have to admit, I came down more on his side than on hers, because I totally get the perspective of, especially because in movies, it's often shown with no, you help the individual, but I'm like, no, in this case, you have to help the group, and you have to do what's best for the group. Otherwise, people get trampled to death. And I mean that literally. People will get trampled to death trying to get at the food because you break the lines and you go out of order. And yes, on an individual level, like, no, there's no harm in giving the woman the food. But then you're like, you could do a lot of harm by doing this, especially if a lot of people see you do it and then you don't do it for everybody else. That's how people get hurt, even killed.
Yeah. I love the fact as well, like when he was with the boy on his bike and just going around, and the kids just like going, well, I know some people there that need food and they need some. I thought that was, but I also love the fact that they showed the fact that is the issue with his kids and his parents, or with his wife. The fact of them bringing up about the fact that he got called out for, is he making money from this? And I thought that was good at how they sort of showed that, and going, well, I'm actually like losing. And it's like going, look, if he was doing this for money, he's gone in the wrong. He's in the wrong business for that. Because it's like,
well, he'd be going about it the wrong way anyway. Because there are charities that do make a lot of money with CEOs that make a lot of money, but this is not him. This is not. You can tell, at least in the beginning, and then I'd say even more, still on into the modern day, although probably less so because he's been ground down a bit. But he's doing it because he wants to help people. He does not want to be the CEO of like a 5-star charity organization pulling in an 8-figure, bonus every single year. Now he wants people to have food, and he genuinely seems to care about the people and make sure that they are fed and taken care of.
Yeah, just a really good documentary. I would really recommend it. This just for me again is that continuous thing of National Geographic documentary films. I think every single one that we've had in the last like 2 years, they all just feel like they're all just really good. I've just been really enjoying them, and I don't. It was a real shame because I was a bit like yesterday. It came out like, there is this other thing out, and it's like even I was there going, I wish there was some more publicity because it got swallowed up with everything else. Like, guys, it's like I feel like Disney should have released this last week. Should have given this its own. Doing it with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it just got drowned out absolutely. And with Celebration and Stranger Things, this just got lost. And I mean, it was never going to get a lot of attention, but this was just like, I mean, you can barely even see it on the Disney Plus homepage because it's that buried.
Yeah, no, it's like the 3rd or 4th banner in the top scroll for me. At the Obi-Wan and Willow the movie is coming on this date, and Willie the show is going. Oh yeah, and we've got Wi-Fi people over here. I think if they had dropped it on Wednesday, actually, it would have done pretty well because people have been logging into Disney thinking that Obi-Wan was going to drop on Wednesday because that's now the current release, and they're like, oh, Obi-Wan's, but what's this Wi-Fi people? And that might have gotten it a little bit of a boost. Dropping it on the exact same day as Obi-Wan was basically throwing it out there to be buried under the piles.
Yeah, it's just not it's just a bad one. Okay, so let's now let's shift over to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we had the first 2 episodes. We'll let you know. We'll be doing spoilers, but it's been out by now. What did you think of those first 2 episodes?
They were very good. They weren't what I was expecting. They definitely went in directions I was not expecting it to go in, but in a good way. Not like, no, I really wanted this. It's like, oh, all right, you've got my attention. Let's see where you're going with this and what comes next.
I really enjoyed it. This was like, wow, I think after all of Mandalorian, it was really nice just to kind of freshen it up a little bit, moving away from that. Now I'm going to say this from word go. There's one thing about this series which I do not like. Could they not find a girl that could run? She looked like she was running in slow motion. That's my only, especially when she was being kidnapped. That is my only complaint. She was a bit whiny for the thing, but generally it was just her running was my one problem. Well, was not expecting the whole Leia aspect to it. I wasn't expecting that whole subplot coming into it, and I think that actually was smart to get away from Tatooine. We'd have been on Tatooine. We don't want any dust. We need another city. So it was kind of, I wasn't expecting the Leia thing.
No, and I agree. It was a good choice, because the whole idea is Luke is hidden. No one knows who Luke is. He's just some random farm boy, and it would not make sense for the Inquisitors or Darth Vader to be like, oh, yes, we've got this kid on Tatooine that we're going to... Yeah, it wouldn't make sense, which has not stopped Disney before, but that's not the point. Having it be Leia, who is a high-profile person on Alderaan. She's in line to become the queen. She's in line to become a senator, etc. Having her kidnapped makes sense, and drawing Obi-Wan out of hiding by going after her makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that was. There was something about him. The fact that it was not Obi-Wan Kenobi from the 3rd movie. He is now more in line. They were doing lots of little tricks and stuff to try and make him look like Alec Guinness and act like him. But the whole thing of him going, look, he's not that. He's defeated. He's beaten. He just wants to hide. He just wants to stay low. He's there to look after Luke, and that's all he's there for. And I liked how they just played on that and just didn't really, even when that woman had her hand cut off, he stood back. He fought with his motion because we'd already seen it with the other kid that couldn't do it. I was half expecting that to be Cal from Jedi Fallen Order, but and of course they've announced the 2nd game is coming next year. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, well, the whole thing, the difference between him and that other little Jedi wannabe Padawan turned Jedi was, of course, that Obi-Wan does have a mission, which the kid does not. And the kid is trying to find his way. He's trying to become safe. And Obi-Wan not just beaten down by the galaxy, but he also has to go with, my job is to protect Luke. Luke
You
is
need to get lost.
Luke is potentially the savior, or even just like, I need to protect my best friend's son.
Yeah.
Kind of story. And so you can see both of that, whereas the other Jedi kid, it's just like, I've been on the run, it's really, really hard, and I got Inquisitors at me, and well, now I'm gonna be dead. But there's that. I will say, speaking of Jedi, though, I really liked the fake Jedi.
Yeah.
He
It's so
was
cool.
very entertaining.
Yeah. And he's still that kind of thing, like, is he good? Is he bad? Does he help people? Does he not? Because there's that kind of thing of like, he did a few things and they're like, oh, is he going to turn on him? Is he going to turn on him? Is he setting up a trap? Is he not setting up a trap? But he's really cool. Is it Kumar?
Yeah, from Eternals, among other things. Yeah,
and Stuber and stuff. I really like him. I thought he was fantastic and definitely a highlight. We also had the Inquisitors, which were a weird group because obviously we're used to seeing them in row. We've got obviously the thing going on with the Grand Inquisitor, because while it made it look like she killed him, I don't think he's dead because he's going to have to come up in Rebels.
Unless they just replace him with another Grand Inquisitor. It's kind of a bit ambiguous at the moment. Him being dead would at least explain the huge transition in appearance between there and Rebels. It's like, oh no, we fooled you. This is actually a different Grand Inquisitor, and now Jason Isaacs' character takes over instead. It would explain, because I certainly was like, this is not the Grand Inquisitor that I know, and it would be one way of doing that. On the other hand, the canon does seem to suggest that the Grand Inquisitor we know from the Rebels was the leader from the beginning. That's brought up in the comics. So we'll see where they're going with that. I certainly did not expect her to stab him, though. That was an unexpected scene.
Was it Reva? I think, is that her name, Reva?
I mean,
Reva. Yeah,
Reva, I think is her name, or third sister is what they keep calling her.
I really liked her. She's a bit one-dimensional in some ways, because I have a feeling she was a former Padawan and is kind of angry. That was kind of my gist of where they're going. She's really angry with him.
Oh, that's not even the gist. That is generally the thing. Almost all of the Inquisitors were former Jedi. That group of Padawans that we saw at the beginning, they even got the same helmet as the brother had, and so on. Almost all of the Inquisitors are disgruntled ex-Jedi. That is their origin story in general. So she was definitely a Padawan. We'll see, if there's something important connected there, or just she was a Jedi and now she's really angry, so she's an Inquisitor. But this is the advantage of it being a series. Hopefully they will take advantage of that to flesh her out. I do agree she was a bit one-dimensional at this point. I will also say the whole parkour sequence with her, I can't even say that. I was going to say not as bad as the parkour.
It's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary, but it's not even that it's unnecessary. It's not done well. You can practically see the wires. You can see that it's a set.
What I didn't get was she blasted down this bridge. Mm-hmm. She jumped on the river and then did you just could have run the bridge. Yeah, it just didn't make any. Yeah, I understand. I could understand jumping over one or two things to get to where she's going. I get that, and you make it look a little bit cool with Bark. I understand why you might put in one or two little jumps just to show she's flexible and shows she's at full speed and she's fat. I totally understand that, but just knock it off with this stuff. It just looks totally just stupid. When you got a load of it happening at once, especially after Book of Boba Fett, we had that whole scene in it as well where we didn't need it.
The parkour scene in Boba Fett was one of the first signs to me that was like, oh, this is not going to be great. I do not have the same feeling here. This was just, it was just an unnecessary sequence and not even done well. And I was watching that and just like, just stop. You don't need this in the sequence. It's already tense enough, and we don't need her running around doing like side flips off of walls unnecessarily. She could have you could just step down. You don't have to do this walking on the wall run around. To be fair, I will grant Jedi and Sith do tend to do lots of random flips and stuff for no apparent reason.
It's always
It
it's always like that Black Widow drop, isn't it? You know,
like, yeah, exactly. But it was just very much more noticeable here, and nobody else was doing it.
Yeah.
So it was that much more like, what are you doing? That, having said that, in terms of like pacing of the first 2 episodes, that's the only sequence in the first 2 episodes where I was going, maybe rethink this one. The rest of it was almost perfect. There were no other scenes.
I really enjoyed it. This was such a great double start to go. I mean, it's great. We've only got to wait till Wednesday for another episode. I still think they should have done it on Fridays and left Miss Marvel with the Wednesdays in June, but that's especially having seen the first 2 ones, and I'm like, you need to watch Miss Marvel because it's really good. But yeah, so just this Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's just fantastic. It's just such a great 2 episodes to kick it off. It's like, even like the complaints of it's like, it's like, you know, you're nitpicking at this point. You know, you'd like, to me, I'm like, this is the I don't know, I would almost say this was back to when like Mandalorian season 1 of like, oh, this feels like Star Wars. You know, we had the Empire, you know, we've got, you know, stormtroopers, we've got mix-overs with like I haven't had that feeling for a while because Boba Fett never gave that to me. And Mando season 2 kind of did, but it was pushing it a little bit further, whereas this felt like somewhere safe, somewhere like where we're used to.
Like Mando season 1 felt like this is an important story, but it's not directly connected to the overall story other than Baby Yoda showing up. It's a side story with stormtroopers and the Empire and this character that you don't know. And then season 2, of course, brings in Luke and Ahsoka, which, mind you, not complaining about. It was great to see them, and they did it really well, unlike in, say, Bad Batch, where it was just like, these aren't, the show is Bad Batch, but it's really about the other characters. But yeah, Mando season 2 was definitely drifting more into we're back to the movies. This one, Obi-Wan, definitely has that same feeling of, this is an important story, but it is not the important story of what's going on. Also, jumping back for a moment, I do have a second scene complaint, but you already mentioned it, which was the kidnapping scene. You mentioned Leia's running, which, yes, also true. But the kidnappers were like Home Alone level idiots in that sequence. It's like, you couldn't have done better than that. Yeah. You're muted again.
The thing for me was I've seen Flea turn up, and it's just being like Back to the Future vibes, and just like, okay, it like you say, if like you could see him watching, you didn't know who it was, and then and on one hand, I liked how they've set it up for to get Kenobi to leave, but there's also that kind of weird thing of like, because obviously Reva doesn't know that there's a connection. It's just randomized that like, well, he used to be friends with him, maybe he'll chase after the kid kind of thing. But yeah, so I get where they were going from it, but it's like, okay, there's a bit that we know, that's because we know the kid. And then there's that whole thing as well of like him finding out that Anakin didn't die. That was like, did you? It's like,
that was a weird one for me.
Yeah,
because it's like, wait. On the one hand, I get that he might not know that Darth Vader is Anakin. Because he wasn't there for the creation of Vader, and as far as he knows, Anakin died in the pool. Yeah. But the sequence starts with like, who's after you, Darth Vader, and he's like, and it almost felt like there was a moment like, who's Darth Vader? And like, no, there is no way Obi-Wan has never heard of Darth Vader. No. It's been 10 years, and he is like the most infamous person in the galaxy. He might not know he's Anakin, and that's the revelation. But she doesn't actually say that. She's like, Darth Vader. And like, yeah, Darth Vader, the guy who kills a whole bunch of Jedi. Of course, Obi-Wan knows who that is. Mm-hmm. So that it was more the phrasing than the actual sequence itself. It was like, where's the revelation?
And there was another thing I really liked. It began with previously on Star Wars. I was like, what was that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like episode 1, 2, and 3 are just previously on, just like like that's when a series can pull in from that kind of thing and goes, oh, previously on Star Wars. It's like, okay, that's kind of a new way of doing it, but we need to start doing it with Marvel and stuff, movies and stuff, I think in general, just to kind of get people up to speed. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great way to kick off the season. Instantly just like shot up the ranks in terms of like decent Disney Plus shows. And the buzz has generally been very positive, other than Leia seems to be the kind of the one, like, because she was really annoying. And not only that, how she was acting when she was trying, when she's running away from Kenobi and just like picking stuff up and just generally just not listening to anybody. Which is kind of like, well, she's a kid, it does kind of, but even she should have like worked out like she was in some kind of danger and this guy's helping me.
It is in line with the character as she's been written, both in the previous continuity and the current continuity. She's always been headstrong. She's always been, I'm not going to take orders from anybody, and I will be the leader. I will give orders to everybody. That said, she is a child actress. Finding a good child actor at that age is exceptionally hard. So I am willing to give them a little bit of leniency on that. But I definitely noticed, like, getting a little bit of Jake Lloyd vibes here. Not to rag on Jake Lloyd. He's certainly dealt with enough. But there is definitely that.
But I'm also
it's a child.
I'm also wondering if we're going to see a lot more of Andron, which could be really interesting because it got blew up, so we've never been there. It's our first time on the planet, and it's kind of weird watching it and going, you're all going to get blown up.
Yeah,
that's
that has been the specter that's held over any story that takes place on Alderaan. Even like in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic or the Old Republic MMO, it's like half the game takes place on Alderaan. Like, yeah, I know how this story ends, even if it's literally 4,000 years from now.
Yeah, but no, I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward. This is going to be. It's just like, wow. It's like, yeah, we got a real solid lineup of some great stuff coming up.
Yeah, I do want to call out one particular scene that I enjoyed quite a bit. It's a very small one where Obi-Wan is first showing up on that planet, and you have a clone trooper just sitting there doing something that I think a lot of people are familiar with, the old war vet sitting by the going, hey, can you spare anything? And Obi-Wan, of course, does, because he's got fond memories of the clone troopers. And then you have the stormtroopers walk by as like the contrast between them. It was a really good small sequence, probably not important to the story as a whole, but it was a nice little take a breath and build the world moment.
I also liked him being, when he was like the butcher, and obviously he's I don't know if he's stealing some meat for his animal, which is a bit like, I like, and they kept doing it, but also more importantly, the fact that he held his tongue and he just stood back when challenged, and that continually being that thing of, because the Inquisitors brought it up, they can't help themselves, and they will fall into the trap because they allow themselves to fall into the trap, which I thought, and he does. And he ultimately does. And there's a little bit like, you've just landed on a planet and you found her in, like, I was expecting a little bit more of the hunt to get caught. I was a bit like, you could drop me in a city and it's going to take me, like, you took like less time to find her than like me finding the car park machine when I get to a vendor. It's just like, wow, you really, like, really I know they could have, I mean, they probably didn't need to, because we could have worked. Like, we could have maybe spread that into episode 3 a little bit and like have him hunting down a little bit more.
I guess they decided that the point is not the hunt. The point is getting them together and them having an adventure and him saving her and so on. That said, yeah, I've definitely lost my car in the Disney World parking lot for longer than it took him to find Leia. They did seem to imply, that the fake Jedi knew things. He did have connections, and he knows where everything is. You can also just kind of wave it away as, Obi-Wan, he knows what he's doing. This is literally what he did through like the entire Clone Wars, was finding people. So just like Taken, I've got a specific set of skills things. Kind of looking forward to seeing.
If he doesn't turn up, I will be very surprised if he does not turn up.
They have hammered that one so much. I mean, it was even one of the critical points in the previously on Star Wars was that I will teach you a way to commune with Qui-Gon, and it's like, yeah, but they've also very carefully established that Obi-Wan's connection to the Force right now is very, very weak. Things that he could do very easily in the Clone Wars, he had to really struggle to catch Leia in that one scene. And obviously, I think the next several episodes will be him reconnecting with the Force and getting, if not up to his former power, at least.
It's almost that kind of thing, isn't it? Of like when because after he'd awoken, that connection with Anakin, kind of the whole kind of like, do they know each other? It's almost like Kylo and Ren kind of moment where they Rey moment where they like saw each other kind of thing.
Yeah, he had cut himself off from the Force. He was no longer there, and now he is reconnected to it, and that is what I presume caused Vader to have that final moment at the end of season episode 2. And then yes, him reconnecting with the Force will more than likely result in, at the end of the show, maybe Qui-Gon briefly showing up, or maybe more. He could actually come in and offer wisdom the way Obi-Wan did to Luke in Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, so I'm just really looking to seeing where this one goes. It's like we've got 4 episodes, about 3 hours. This is going to be this feels like proper Star Wars again, of just like, and I loving the mix between. I'm loving that they are really like filling in that gap between, and Rogue One's really going to the new Andor series of like filling in that world of we see it when there was a little clip of Andor where stormtroopers are coming in on like the old like gunships, and I'm liking them blending it, so it's not quite such a left and right, and I like that whole aspect.
And I mean, Bad Batch was doing it too. That was one of the big things that we really did like about Bad Batch, was showing this transition from clone trooper to stormtrooper, Republic to Empire. Might have been happening a little bit fast in that show, where it was literally like, yep, Republic's gone, here's the Empire. I was kind of like, you don't do that transition in a month. No, but I am glad that Disney is showing that transition, showing the changeover, because it is actually pretty important if you're going to continue to do extended universe stories like this.
Yeah, and I think they've definitely they spoke at Celebration already about television has really opened them up. It's almost like Lucasfilm have kind of gone, oh, we can do stuff that we liked, but we could never. It's almost like I wouldn't say the pressure is off, because it's not a movie. They've got it's like they can do stuff a little bit different. But yeah, Kenobi, great series. Can't wait to see what happens to that one. Right, so that's pretty much going to be this week's show. There was another topic that we were going to do, but that one's going to take too long, so we'll do that one next week, where we run through everything that's coming up in June, because we've been almost a double episode of news and just so much at a Star Wars Celebration. So next week we will be talking about Hollywood Stargirl. We'll also be talking about the new episode of Kenobi. And yeah, that's going to be the main bit. Plus, we'll be looking at what's coming up in June on Disney+. On that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back soon. Later.
And may the Force be with you.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.